Ah, there we go. Greetings, wanderers. Once again, we're going to be playing East 2, part of the East 1 and 2 Chronicles Plus, back on Steam. You have to excuse me for that little, strange, black screen there. This game doesn't like to be streamed. Does not want to cooperate with OBS. But now it's working, so nothing more to worry about. We're gonna jump right back to where we were last time. I almost forgot. I love this track. I'm going to move Dark Fact Mask. I'm actually going to change him into something else. Because I'm not tormented by this game anymore. For the moment. Well, I'm sure it'll torment me soon, though. Gila, Lilia, Warzor, Riplet, Tulpi, Puroid, Carly. Fortune Teller. Dogi. Dogi's a good mascot. We'll keep him in the corner there. Yeah, OBS is not wanting to, I'm not sure if it's the game or if it's OBS. I did just update OBS, but it's not wanting to cooperate with this game, but I've got it working now. So, it seemed like it was a stream transition, the scene, rather, transition on the stream. It's making it, act strangely. Now, it's been a week since I played this, so I might need a second to gather my bearings. But hopefully we're gonna have a nice smooth experience. I don't have to spend too much time screwing around with these monsters. Right, bumper combat. Oh, this is a slide. Okay. I can slide down, but I can't walk back up. And a happy weekend for me watch this. I meant to stream last night, but unfortunately some things came up and I had to. I did not have any free time to stream. But now I do. And all is well. Now, East 2, I've been told, is a little longer than East 1. Which is great, because East 2, as I commented last time, its combat is a large step up from the first game. Based mainly with the use of spells. I have a fireball, among other things. I also have a teleport. Teleports me to cities, or towns, villages, whatever you want to call them. And I have a light that illuminates secret passages in the dark, which will be very useful in dungeons. Ooh, just got tracked by that. Now this game reminds me a lot. This game, East 2. To an extent, East 1. More so East 2 because of its layout and the change in biomes. It reminds me a lot of Xanadu Next, another game by Falcom. Because in that game, you go from you have your little hub town. You explore ruins, sewers, snowy mountain, a volcano-like area with lava and all. underwater, and the final tower. The first Ace had quite a few biomes, not a whole lot. Mostly was the ruins, the forest, or I think it was called the plains, and also the final tower. The final tower is my favorite part of the game. I was enjoying a nice dungeon. What is this? Blizzard bulb. What is this? Oh, I can't equip it. Frozen ice crystals. If used in a moist atmosphere, the water will solidify. Interesting. Can examine it. Numerous ice fragments have attached themselves to the gemstone. I'm sure that'll come in handy this game. East likes to give me things that'll come in handy later on. Let's see what's up here. I believe the sound check was done by their in-house band, JDK band. Always very good, very talented group. I think they switch out members, which can be common amongst in-house bands. What is this? I'm thinking of use. Oh, the blizzard bulb. Okay, I see. The blizzard bulb can be used in these strange air, whatever you want to call them. Let's check if there's any. These secret passages. Secret passages light up. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Let's check this way first. Dead end. Dead end already. Of course. The next. Oh, well, I went to kill that monster. I stumbled across a chest. Spirit cape. What is that? A feather cloak worn by spirits of legend brings healing power to its wearer. Oh, is this the regen? It is the regen, okay. So in each one it was a healing ring. In this game is a cloak. Very cool. Okay, and that changes that. Okay, great. Let me double check, make sure there's no secrets. This light up if I... Interesting, it's not light up. But it does look like there's a incline of sorts. Don't want to do that. Nope, nothing up here. Dead end again. Dead end. This area is a lot harder to... Oh, I want that. This area is a lot harder to navigate. The maps in general in these two are a lot harder to navigate. I was surprised to see the mine. The first dungeon, the mine. And so many dead ends and winding staircases. It's not super difficult to the point of being impossible, but... Level up. Nice. But it was nice to... Or sorry, it was much more difficult than the entire... Not the entirety of East 1, but On par with the final tower, I'd say. No, I take that back. The final tower is definitely harder. That damn mirror maze confused the hell out of me the second time I went through it. Okay, let's I don't know if this works the same way. It didn't reveal that other paths, so maybe it doesn't reveal all paths, but it doesn't hurt to check. And I can just run into them manually. Go tell you I've been checking. What are these? No, I don't want the priests or NPCs. Heelys. Well-defended demon, able to hack apart its prey with its sharp scythes. However, as an ice elemental, it is predictably weak against fireballs. Oh, okay, so I should be using my fire magic more. And the gear card. The demon descended from a proud tribe, now serving the demons as a soldier. Its mind has regressed to the level of a beast, but its combat skill remains. Interesting. Ooh, 18, okay. Egnid. What's a holy race that soared majestically? Sorry, the text is throwing me off. Majestically in the sky. Its many misdeeds caused its wings to atrophy, and it was banished from the holy sanctuary. Looks like a gargoyle of sorts, and Galgata. A turtle-like demon from the ice ridge of Nolchia, sorry. Once again, a text is getting me. Nolchia. Despite its appearance, it attacks at tremendous speed. It may hobble and wobble, but it does so very quickly. In all caps, glad it wants you to know. Oh, I can't get up there. Wants to make it very clear, under no uncertain words, the speed of this thing. I think that's the same as the rest, right? Nice. Lots of monsters, but yeah, I'll die the same. Oh, that's one way, okay. Hawk Idol. What is that? It's not my inventory, so that means the Hawk Idol with piercing blue eyes focuses the power of fire on its target. I completely forgot that it actually tells you just outright what it does. Over HP in dungeons, standing still, okay. At homing ability to the fire magic. Oh, okay. Let's try it. Wow. Turns quite a bit, doesn't it? Oops. Okay. That could be useful, especially on bosses. Some of the bosses had how do I put it? Not obvious hitboxes. Dark fact. Maybe this will help a little bit. Okay, I'm a little lost. I can remember where I was going. What is... Oh. Okay, this isn't so bad. Because I do take more damage from charge shots. Charge shots don't take as much. They take the same amount of mana as regular shots. I want to clear that way first. Make sure there's nothing hiding around here. I'm curious if there is something hiding. These other pathways, so... Oh, this big one can be destroyed. Nice. Very nice. And another chest. Alter magic. What? Just alter magic. Magic of Gemma. Oh, like a Luca Gemma. Whatever his name is. Increase of knowledge. Makes Adel a Roo. Letting him talk to demons. A Roo. Oh. Oh. Oh man. Can I still fight with like this? Hello? I can talk to demons. Longfist. Swath. I saw some human being taken away by a flying demon. She was a bit far off in the distance, but she seemed pretty from what I could tell. What on earth is this? 1 second. I'll be right back a second. Okay, sorry about that. I forgot my water. Does it individually name every demon? Blue. It does. Looks like they were going towards that door. Why can't I get through that door? There's something over here. Snowy marl flower. All of the treasure chests around here have been looted. Quilg. Have you been looking for the thief? You should be. Chests are empty. This must have been the work of some thief. I saw some human being taken away by a flying demon. Probably a woman. Sure sounded like one when she screamed at least. Who is this mysterious woman? Also, if I... Oh, there we go. Now you will all die. They're very tanky. Maybe not. Maybe I'm the one that's gonna die. Oh no. I think we got it. Okay. We're okay. Oh, nice. Okay. I need to eat one of these apples. Not the best healing, but good enough. Now, I wonder why I have wing. Or why I should use wing over my other teleportation. An actual spell. Okay, there's a door I missed. I was just fooling around with this demon form. And I got it here. Oh, and the ice. That's not good. The ice regenerates. Let's kill some of these things. For their XP, if nothing else. It's much easier to kill them if you hit them at a diagonal in this game. I don't remember that being the case in this one. But it is a welcome change. Just shove them in a wall and let them have it, I guess. Is there anything down here? I don't remember. That's the way I came. I killed that already, so... Now I can't shake the feeling that I'm missing something. Got an herb. I feel like I missed a chest. We'll see. We'll see if that's the case soon. Uber. Many friends of mine been killed lately. Careful too, you hear? Oh, now I just feel bad. Never mind. No, I don't. Stone shoes. What is that? Yeah, nothing. Oh, there we are. Shoes made with stone soles. That's where perfect stability and icy slope. Oh, that must be for the slopes, the slides. The soles are thick and rugged. Let's go find one. The other question I have is if I can use it while still in demon form. Sorry, Rue form. Oh, that hurt. That was not good. Okay, let's get out of here. Ah, very good. Okay. So I can use those on slopes. Careful, careful. Nice, nice. I'm going to run back. Being a little low on mana. Well, I say low, but it's like halfway at my max. Just low, relatively. Stuck. There we go. Okay. At least this way I can kind of sneak past them. Why did the Rue cross the glacier? To get to the fireside. They kill me. I'll tell you. We'll see who kills who. Come here. Do you ever tell that joke again? Never. Never in your life. He had to die for that one. Ooh. Level up. And of course, with each level up, makes it easier to kill these monsters. Alright, this lets me travel wherever. These boots are definitely a boon. Nice. There was one chest. I could have swore I missed. Maybe I didn't. Oh, it's always good to be thorough, especially in a game like this. Ow. Oh, that almost killed me. That's... I may have to go back to heal. Oh. Zadal unfurled the scroll of guidance. Words began to appear on the blank, faded parchment. Great warrior, you have done well in reaching the ice ridge of Nultia. You must find the true door which allow you to get through Nultia's ice-covered outer wall. The ones that you see is mere illusion, spawned by a magical barrier. If you can somehow reflect the truth, the real door shall appear before you. Please, warrior, Do what you must to reach Solomon's Shrine. Okay. A conundrum then. So I found that door earlier. Now the question is, how do I get through it? Now it mentioned to reflect. Reflect what you see. Kill these for their level ups. The Agnids, as they're called. There it is. There's the chest I was looking for. As it turns out, I did not go through that door, or try to go through it, because I had assumed that was the way forward, and I didn't want to miss anything. Which, in this game, I don't know, based on my experience with East 1, if you miss something, it will bite you in the ass later on. I have these stone shoes, which are very nice. Here we are. You can freely go up and down these slippery slides. Better save. Better save. Taking care of these monsters and trying not to use my mana too much. There we go. The anti-illusion mirror. Oh, very on the nose. Okay. Beautifully decorated mirror with the power to dissolve foul illusions. Nice. Now I am a little curious what these guys have to say. Snow's actually pretty tasty. Doesn't do a thing to curb your appetite, though. Yeah, because it's snow. Adol can't climb the icy slopes. He doesn't have the shoes for it. And they're not easy to find. Ah, I beg to differ. It's a little strange being able to talk to them. I don't recall any other game that lets you do this. One that I played recently, anyway. Bloober. I do love the music here, though. Very much. I myself am a sucker for a good violinist. That's the way back. That just goes all the way back. Some of the things these monsters say are a little, I don't know how to put it, but they're gonna die. Like that. Okay, there's the door. So, there's also a door. Is this the door? I really hope I haven't missed anything. But we're gonna see. We'll find out. I got that. That's the mirror chest. Ooh. The door here, but I don't recall if there's another one above it. Oh, yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. Curious if this Was anything else? Doesn't look like it. Okay, that's the statue, and we're looking for the door. The door. Not there. Sorry, Adol's appearance is really, really funny. A little kangaroo. The only downside is I can't attack them. But then again, given my HP, that's probably for the better. I really don't want to get killed. Okay, so... I think there's one more cave. One more cave with the icicles. Is that it? That might be it. Just double checking everything else. Yeah, okay. That must be it. Here we are. Oh, I might have to actually go back. Unless I use one of my... I might have a mana herb, but I don't remember. Oh, this is not good. Okay. Through, but at what cost? I have no mana. I have 1 mana, which is not a lot. Maybe 1 or 2 more fireballs and that'll be it. So, let's at least see what's in the store. I didn't realize that the demon form drains your mana, and that makes sense. That tracks. Okay. This is the fake door. Adol touched the door, his hand slipped inside it, his fingers were numbed, as if by an intense cold. Okay, the mirror. Adol held the mirror to the door. Even though he could see it with his own eyes, he cast no reflection. Suddenly, the mirror gave off a dazzling light. Ah. The true door reveals itself. Oh, this looks like a boss fight. Ah, that's not good. Okay. I'm going to save because I have no HP and no mana. Oh, but as it turns out, the Kelcina flower is an elixir of sorts. It gave me all my mana and all my HP back. Very good. All right, boss. Yalmath. Oh, no. Oh, that's... Okay. Fire does nothing to it. Wish I had that homing. But the fire does do something to it. I just can't aim. Okay, so it's bouncing out the spikes. Oh, careful, 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 careful. Yeah, I really wish I had that. That homing. Oh, man. Wow, that instantly killed me. Oh, no. Okay. Where is it? Where is that? There it is, the Hawk Idol. I want that. Okay. Oh, but accessories didn't work in this one. I wonder if they work here. Rather, let me clarify. They didn't work during boss fights in East 1. Your rings didn't give you any advantage. Yeah, it looks like you have to manually... Oh no, it works. Okay. This guy. And I still can't aim even with lock on. Okay, if he jumps on me, I'm just dead. Just full on. So it's planning to get jumped on. There it is. He jumped on me. Okay. Let's try it again. Okay, I'm gonna... What's this? Equip this. And then save over that. Okay. One more. Just so I don't have to do it every time when I die. Because he is gonna kill me. He already has. Oh, those icicles. They don't have to hit you. I just touch them and they hurt. Okay, I can kind of hit him when he lands with the big fireball. That almost did me. Okay, he's double jumping now. Okay. Easy, easy. Damn. I'm getting the hang of it. I said as I missed. Okay. Let's see. Oh no! I walked into the ice. Shit. Okay. One more. We got him. We got him. Let's see what if I'm under leveled for this boss. No, I think I'm at a good level. I don't mind going back to grind. The main problem is touching his ice walls. Damn. Yeah, the ice walls are what's fucking me now. Oh, okay. That fireball actually turned away from him. Okay, let's try it one more time. Yelbeth. Try and put a little more pressure on him. Oh, okay. He's gonna put pressure on me. Completely missed him. Point blank range. Okay, okay. Easy, easy, easy. Oh no, I didn't even see that rock. It's neck and neck. for a second. Oh no, I was so close. This boss is this is probably the second hardest one I fought so far. Number one, of course, being Dark Fact, but the other bosses not as bad. Even the Bat boss from East 1, which I recently learned is one of the more notorious bosses in East. Personally, I didn't have that much of a problem with the Bat, but as you can see, this guy is beating my ass. Oh, damn. Oh no, okay. Oh, that almost killed me. That was almost my end. Okay, we've almost got him. Almost got him. Gotcha. Yeah, he was quite the challenge. But we got him. Oh, okay. I want to read up on him real fast. And I want to save after that fight. The Cyclops with muscles like armor. Unintelligent, but extremely powerful, relies on brute strength alone. And the Swap. It's a gentle, domesticated race. The demonic influence transformed these ram-horned creatures into carnivorous savages with bloodshot eyes. Out on the Ice Ridge. Oh. Alexander, that was the first boss of this game, Tiamat. An ice creature with precision control over its chosen elemental. With its one eye and strong back legs, it can make mighty leaps to attack from above. When it strikes the ground, deadly shards of ice are scattered. Interesting. However, pull up my secret light. Herbs. I love this light. Now I'm not seeing. Oh, okay. There's a path there. Is there a path here, or is it just part of the? Nah, it's just part of the landscape. Moat of Burned Bliss. Or Nebulous. Burned Bliss. Oh yeah. Okay. Adol felt as if someone were watching him. Oh. Oh no. Let's see. Let's see. And then as quickly as it came, the sensation was gone. Okay, there's a path there. The statue's Adol unfurled the skull of guidance. Yada yada yada. Okay. Great warrior. You have done well in reaching the region of Burnbless. This area of lava was created by the priests to shield against the demon onslaught. It was no easy task to create such a drastic yet stable shift in the environment. We did what was necessary to ensure our security. The only way to reach Solomon's Shrine is by traversing the path through the lava itself. You may find some nearby who could be of help to you. Be sure not to judge solely on appearances. It is also likely that you may find one of the priest's magics here, as well as other magical items. Please, warrior, do what you must to reach Solomon's Shrine. As Adol read each word, it gradually faded away. Okay. They were seeking help, magic, and items. Let's see what we can find. Curious what these guys sound like. This drains mana, so I'm not gonna Dum Dum. Rally Guard. Wait, what did he say? He dropped the leaf? I dropped that leaf. Without it, I can't get through the gas-filled corridor anymore. Gas-filled corridor. Like little yellow guys, but I lost sight of them at that statue of those humans. I can feel it. Wait a second. Yeah, whatever. Oh. Oh. Ah, okay. These guys are actively hidden. I need my truth light to be able to see them. Interesting. At least one of them was. Belly guards. Ancient fire lizards. No longer to control fire itself. Gravitates toward tidy environments. Okay. Apparently they can go invisible as well. What is that? Like a mole? Onuman. Eventually you will die. Here we go. What does he have to say? Nothing I report. Okay. Some kidnapped kid. Hot-blooded Ur. Oduman. Of course they want to eat at all. Yeah. We'll see how. We'll see about that. I wonder if I can teleport to the dungeons. Because I have a shit ton of gold. Let's find out. It's light. Here we go. It's village. What I don't want to do is teleport back and then stuck here essentially. Oh, I don't need the light to hit them. I just gotta hit them. Okay. Oh. Yeah, these guys are exceptionally tanky. Okay, so I leveled up. But I'm going to need equipment. So, let's just go ahead and teleport back. Lance Village. Lilia went out to the ruins. That's the last anyone's seen of her. What? But I must be so worried. I asked Astal and Legs if they saw her. And I guess she managed to get in the slip. I sure hope she's okay. It's terrible. Lily has gone missing. Where did she run off to? The demons are everywhere. She shouldn't be out there by herself. Oh. You know there's that many birds here. Well, some of the demons were talking about her being stolen or kidnapped, so I assume that's what happened. I think this... What am I wearing? Breastplate, small shield, long swords. Plate mail. I'm not super needy for the plate mail. Yeah, 8,000 gold. I don't know about that. The sword. I don't know if he has a tower or not. He does have a tower. Okay. That would be nice. This. What about the shields? $6,000. Not quite enough. Which is fine. Oh yeah, 10 more damage. Bolts is missing too. Bolts is the blacksmith, is he not? Let's go check with Leah's mom. Then to say she's disappeared. I wonder if she could have gone. I hope she's alright. She left a while ago, mentioned something about going to the ruins. She was seen briefly at the village gate, but not once since then. Oh, Lily, where could you have gone? Ask her about herself. Nothing really. Okay, so given that the demons mentioned her getting carried off, I assume she's not at the ruins anymore. And those were demons on the mountain. I am curious. Let's talk to some of these people here. I made a nursery rhyme about the Pickards. Pickards, oh Pickards. Your meat is tender, but your bones are hard. Pickards, oh Pickards. Boil them, fry them. So cute, I can't eat them. The end. Very well done. Still demons in his basement? I like how these demons were trapped in his basement, actively aware that they were trapped in his basement. Okay, it's time to die. I know there's more of you. Come here. For Gila. Gila has weird crush on me. Demons. Demons in his immediate surroundings are vanquished, but Adel sends more of them in the sanctuary beyond. Die. Oh, I got achievement. Gila's monsters. I mean, all the monsters in Gila's basement. Adel's chaotic surroundings suddenly became common still. There was no further indication of the demonic presence. It seemed as if all of the demons had been eradicated. Good. Very good. I'll let Gila know. His basement has undergone extermination. You cleared out all the demons in my basement. Wow. Thank you so much. Now I can have some peace and quiet again. I see you're as busy as ever. You should take a break once in a while. can't believe you rang that cursed bell in my basement. It's the evil bell. Supposedly, demons are drawn towards the sound of it from far and wide. When you sense a demon but don't see it, you can ring that bell to make it show its ugly face. It'll probably come in handy at some point. The demon, get out. Man. You want to get in the pen? No. No, I don't. It's a roo! Don't say those around here often. Yes, I'm but a lowly roo. Oh, and roos are signs of good fortune. Okay, so... I don't... No. I'm gonna have to walk back. That sucks. It's exactly what I was hoping. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do, but... It seems I'm gonna have to walk back. And everyone's looking for... Okay, I'm gonna pick some apples really fast. Just for the spare heal. Individually, they're not much, but 15 HP times 3. 45 HP is a good amount. Oh, we can't pick that flower. Okay. Back down, back down. Head over to the ruins. And see if anyone saw her. Lydia came here and now she's missing, but I certainly didn't see her. Have some mind water. I've been paying closer attention. The other demons did mention she got carried off. Wow. One shot these guys now. Lilia simply disappeared. I'm sure that you'll worry, regardless of what I say, but whatever happens is what was meant to be. What the fuck, legs? That lay before you holds the answers you seek. Do your... Yeah. It's the hair. Okay. Right. Okay. Just making sure there's no new surprises. Supposedly, Lilia came here and then was probably taken away. Given that they heard her on the mountain, I doubt she's actually here, but it's good to be sure. Yeah, okay. We will run back. My memory is a little... Let's see, but I believe it's the store, right? Yeah, okay. Very long walk. Boy. There we go. Okay. Now we have to find those doors. that way. I need my stone shoes. Here we go. I don't believe this is the way, actually. This is... yeah, it's gonna be down. Is it not? I made a mistake. I could have swore it was down here. Interestingly enough, I now have the gold to buy that shield. It's fine though. I'm just looking for this door. Nope, not that way. Okay. Was it up and right? There's a door. How do I get down there? Oh, here we go. Here we are. Okay. Down and left. Go up. Gotta find the cavern with all the icicles. Is it here? No. But that looks like it might be the right way. Okay, that's a statue. But there was another door somewhere. May have taken the wrong door, but that's fine. Also means I can be thorough. I think it was down. Oh, and I can get some XP as well. Not the best XP here, but there we are. Okay. Here we are. Okay. Now we're well on our way to the final door. I don't think it was this way. This level up. Here we go. All right. There's definitely something here. I don't... It all seems certain there's something here. Oh. Light can't reveal anything. Not here, anyway. Let me try being a demon when I come through. Nope. Nothing again. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm having a much easier time killing these monsters now. Mix the level ups in the sword. Tall War. Ooh. Kaboom. What is that? Iron ore. Oh, iron ore. Very good. Bring that to the back to the town. Ah, but Boats is missing too, isn't he? This also have to find him as well. We have a damsel in distress and a blacksmith. Oh, this is Durga. Durga. Here we go. A sluggish demon. Moat of Burn Bless. Maybe. A little tired today. Its back is protected by a carapace, which provides excellent defense with its firmness and flexibility. I'll die the same. I'm curious what they have to say. Oh, I would hope it's like a dinosaur. Yeah, it seemed like some of the demons give hints if you talk to them. Wait, what did he say? Satan Bridge falling down because Gaddis cut it. Who the hell? It's Gaddis. Leaf. They keep talking about a leaf. A leaf that lets them walk through a gas-filled chamber. At least one of them mentioned a leaf. Oh, that hurt quite a bit. Skipping on the fence. We also wanted like 10,000 for the chess piece. Which I just don't have. There it is. The air is thick with poison gas. It's much too dangerous to go any farther. Oh, I'm glad the game was kind enough to tell me that. You gotta leave, you'll never make it through. Wait, what? You're too good to introduce yourself, sacred beast. Makes you spicy like curry. Hair. Fixate on his hair. That just supposed to make sense. Oh man. Oh, that hurt. Oh, I'm dead. At least I know a little bit more about it. I want the ore. That's what I want. I'm gonna grab the ore and then head back to the town. Just solely on appearances. So I need a leaf, whatever that means. However, I want to bring that ore back as well. Ore. Here we go. Okay. Grab the ore and farm a little bit of XP. Just a bit. Still not entirely useless. my equipment. There we go. Cool music though. This area in and of itself is very reminiscent of Xanadu Next's lava area. I suppose most volcanic areas all the same. I don't remember this door. I must have missed it. The guards. Helly sound coming from your bag. It's positively intoxicating. I climb right in there with it. It's like I'm being pulled. What is he going on about? They'll die all the same. Very nice. Let's look for a leaf, a leaf, a leaf. Why would there be a leaf in a volcano? Once a bridge guard does what he's told, I don't will be able to get anywhere near Solomon's Shrine. Let's see about that. We'll see if a guard can stop me. More likely it will, because my gear. Yeah, this game of cat and mouse I've been playing Adeline. I enjoy it. What did you think I meant? Wait. I never know. Okay, another doorway. Let's kill him for XP. Where are they? There you are. Even without upgraded equipment, a few levels helps a lot. Here we are. Okay. I don't think there was another door. Yeah, there was. Okay. We go straight up. Let's see what's through here. Was that 24 XP? Not bad. Not good, but oh. Gollum. I wonder what that Ruba guy's doing when we ask. Why'd you go check on him? Or you should perhaps. But I don't have to. Check on this. He's really tanky. Damn. It's an okay amount of XP. Nothing really. Not that good though. Talking about a bridge guard. Okay, so bridge guard and leaf. Keep an eye out for. I'm going to save here. It's not saving. Screwed me over earlier. Oh, secret passages. I don't know if I need this to see them. Guess not. And melting, but I kind of like it. Yeah. Strange critters. Very strange. I'll take a break. Monster Workers Alliance. Monster Workers Alliance were halflings, ancients, halberdiers, and armor shells. Of course. He's It's tanky. Okay. Not very good XP either. A demon resembling an ape with a curved back, long arms, and clawed fingers. Upon catching sight of an enemy, it rushes into battle full speed. Scollins. A two-tailed scorpion with a peculiar leg structure that allows for quick silent movement. One strike from its poisoned barbs will kill its prey in short order. I see. Oh, I wanted to talk to him. Shit. Nice frosty glass of humanate. These monsters do not like the heat. Who would have thought monsters can feel? Oh, I'm not even hurting that one. What the hell? Okay, they're like obsessed with like a fruit from the root. Did not expect to be really this deep. QC McRed hair. We'll check in that bridge guard at the colony of lava. Ruba. Holding Ruba's son hostage. Okay. These monsters are funny. Okay. Where is this guy? These things I can actually kill, so. Not very fast. You can't kill them. I like that other one. I couldn't even hurt it. Oh, that doesn't look ominous. Let's save. Definitely gotta save. Colony of lava. Okay. I'm a demon. Can I just walk there? Carson. You're just human-like intelligent. Isn't that a demon? Okay. I was worried I was gonna get attacked here. It was like a boss or something. Give me something though. I wonder if there's some way to lure it out. Give me the bell. Shit, I should have tried that. Oh well. You almost never see the ruse anymore, the divine messengers, if you will. They're such cute little things, curse and no. I wonder what they'll want. What about now? The rue. How unusual. And that's it. Just, oh, there's pumpkins. Can't break them. Oh, I can break them. Okay. Red hair, Rafa. Get out, Scram. Oh. Okay. Not very nice. It's a real honest to goodness rule, right before my eyes. He doesn't like red hair, I guess. Derry. You. Your head's so red. Is that natural or is that the blood of your enemies? Oh. That's your natural hair color? Seriously? Actually, come to think of it, didn't somebody say something about a redhead just recently? I think it was Ruba. Something about Tarf. Oh, I just can't remember. Oh my. Can it really be you? It's been a long time. You're that skinny fella, Chrono, aren't you? Lived next door 20 years ago? Nope, can't say that I am. Cute. That's like it's dangerous. I'm gonna go find Tarf. Who the hell is Tarf? Roo, roo, roo your boat gently down the stream. I think that's the lyrics of that song. These people are obsessed with my hair. Are you the one? What are you looking at? I'm busy right now. You're my way. Go on, shoe. Lord. I didn't even say anything. They like when I'm a Roo, but they don't like my hair. Sorry, kitty. First one has told me, reprimanded me for going into their house. Never venture outside alone. The demon's numbers have been increasing lately, and keep watch over your children. Leave a message, I'll get back to you. Red hair. Staring. I wasn't staring. I've noted that all these people... Ruba. Oh, someone mentioned Ruba. Redhead. I'm Ruba, the bridge guard, and you are... Adol told the man his name. I see, so you're Adol. I'm sorry, but the bridge's winch is broken by some demons. It won't go down. For the time being, there's no way to repair it either. You won't be able to get across. Yes, indeed right. I cannot get across. As promised, I haven't let Adol cross. Tell the man in the black cloak. Tell the man in the black cloak that I'm doing what he said. So he'd better give me my son back. Adol's just going to keep coming back, though. You know that, right? It'll be much harder to turn away, too, each time he does. So whatever you're doing, do it fast. All these people are nervous. Extremely nervous. I think this house is empty. Chrono. At least two people seem to know a Roo named Chrono. Ah, Pickards. Okay, so... I need a leaf. I need Chrono. I need to fix this bridge. Demons, okay. I think I do to fix that. Adol told the bridge guard he knew about his son being kidnapped by the man in black. Wait, so that Roo was... I see, so you know everything then. It all started 2 days ago. Oh, yes. Tarf. Dad. Red-haired swordsman by the name of Adol will be coming through here soon. Do not let him cross the bridge. Just do as you're told. Your son will be returned unharmed. Tarf. They stole his son. Poor guy. So Tarf was taken, and those are the instructions of ensuring his safe return. You must have noticed how the villagers have been regarding you, no? Because they all know what happened. I bear you no grudge, but I'll do what I must to ensure Tarf's safety. Anything. I'll offer to rescue Tarf. I'll promise to rescue the bridge guard's son. Yes. You must be joking. You're up against demons here. And again, you're the one they're trying to stop, so clearly you are a threat to them. What's that? I guess maybe. You're not joking. Okay. If that's the way you wish it to be, who am I to object? I'll leave Tarf's rescue in your hands. Wish I could help you, but they think we're acting against them. They'll hurt Tarf and possibly the village. Here, take these in my place. They should prove quite useful. Whisper earrings. They're called whisper earrings. They've been passed on in my family for generations. When you're wearing them, you'll be able to hear even the faintest of sounds. My son must be in prison somewhere around here. Listen to those and you might be able to hear them. I heard a... Trust with Tarf. Okay, for the actor report that I didn't let you pass. Please find Tarf for me. Don't worry about it. I will. Okay, so it's not equipment. Magic earrings amplify. Amplify even the faintest of sounds. Okay. Super hearing. Interesting. Okay. I heard a beep in this building, but it might have just been something else. Importantly. Okay. Can I teleport back here? Oh, colony of love. Perfect. Back to Lance Village. I want my weapon. A tower. Oh yeah. Oh, Laszlo. It's the blacksmith. Okay. What did I think it was? Oh, boats. I thought it was boats. Okay. Tower. Check his shields. What's 6K? I think the plate armor's 10, isn't it? $8,000. Okay. Very good. Now, in East 1, they actually give you a lot of equipment for free. Which I was warned of, but at the time I just wanted it right away. Here we are. I'm going to rest into her bed. And she tells me about Lilia, who's gone missing. Missing from the ruins. Okay, I have the whisper earrings. Now, I suppose the fastest way back to that goddess statue would be to... not turn into a demon, but to teleport. Only lava. Perfect, I'm gonna save. Oh, damn. That hurt quite a bit. Shit. I might die here. trying to kill these characters. Trying to kill these monsters. Damn, they hurt. Okay. I need to make my way back to the goddess statue at the beginning of the zone. Which I'm no stranger to backtracking. She needs. Shit. Okay. Where is... Yeah, parrying enemies attack once in a while. I'm not sure what that does. Must be a free damage. I think if I mess up, it'll negate that once. Or I want to heal up a bit. Healing is pretty slow this game compared to East 1. East 1 seemed pretty fast. That might just be me being in a dungeon. What's not my healing? How do I? Okay, I have my earrings equipped. Heal 10 more HP. I'm going to re-equip my parry ring. Continue. And of course, killing the monsters here and there. Up the level. Nice. Monstrous creatures, monstrous creatures. Oh. Now, one of the villagers, Ruba, or whatever his name is, did mention asking the demons about his son's whereabouts. However, didn't seem like there was a difference in their dialogue. Just hints, 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 vague hints. Luckily, this volcano area is allowing you to navigate. Here we are. I have the whisper earrings. Adol heard the sound of distinctly non-human footsteps coming from somewhere around him. There's definitely something there. Where is it? Where? Here. Here, but I don't see it. My mage light. Show me the secrets. Better save. Maybe it's demon form. Try it. You heard a voice coming from somewhere around him. I cured it last time. There's someone talking, but not well enough to understand what was being said. Oh. Beowulf. Mama. You could hear faint sounds of footsteps in the distance. Rang the evil bell to draw out the demons. Ah, Rue! I'm assuming this is Chrono. The villagers mentioned. Oh, Rue Nest. We did our alongside warmongering demons and forced to hide here. Ours is a peace-loving clan. Peace, love, sleep, food, and information. Good tenants, good tenants. Several days ago, Rookie? Okay. I saw a human boy being led to the poison-filled passage by demons. I hope he's okay. So that's Ruba's son. Ruru. Can't say I've seen you around before. Your name's Adol. Here it isn't. Here, your name is Adoru. It's the law. Bruce. These are very stylish gauntlets, are they not? I made them myself. They help me remain calm, and calmness is most gentlemanly quality, don't you think? Demons and humans alike consider me a gentleman, worthy of their greatest aspirations, as I'm sure you do. Pruto. Humans always think that we're demons, but we're so not. We were originally thought of as sacred animals. Now people just see fur and think demon. Poor guys. Caliru. Can I let you in on a little secret? My brother, Bruce, is a real loudmouth. Every time a demon starts chasing him, he's all like... Cute. Tours. Wish to rest, yeah. Sleep under the tree. That would have refreshed my mana. Druzy. Sleep. This must be the leaf. Pick the Rhoda fruit. Oh. And the leaf. Put it over your mouth and presto, no more worries and poison gas. Rhoda leaf is not food. It's a tool of a true gentleman, a shield against poison gas. Power alone will not see the gentleman through his hardships. Wisdom must temper the use of that power. Well said. With my massive brain. Maybe not, but well said. Forget to equip the red leaf in your hand for the poison gas serum. Just saving it in your positions will do you no good at well. Blah 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 blah. Don't do it. Oh, that's what he said before. What about this guy? Rotoleaf fits squarely over your mouth, but your nose is still exposed, so make sure not to sniff around. Very good. I'm going to save, and I will return in just a minute. Let me refill my water. Okay. And water. Now we can keep going. Picking my gold. See if I had enough of the shield, but I don't think I do. I don't think I'm anywhere near it, so. But I have the leaf. I have the fruit as well. One bite will restore all MP. Interesting. Now, at least one, when you ate the fruits. The fruit actually let you talk to the tree in the first game. I'm wondering if it does the same in this game. There's no reason why it wouldn't. We'll figure it out. We'll hold on to it. What I was thinking was that maybe I should eat it and then go see how the Rotafruit, or sorry, Rotatree. But I couldn't even talk to it, so maybe not. I'll just hold on to it. I'm looking for this gas chamber, which I think was this way. Careful. Opus, whatever they're called. That kills some of these for XP and a little bit of gold. Okay, I think this is the chamber. It's not enough cut a mouth and it's a sweet scent. Yep, okay. Nice. Okay. You're not to remove the sleeve. It seemed like that was just the one chamber. I should see what these demons have to say. It's a door to the bottom left. Go look for Adel. I like to procrastinate just to see him get angry. On top right. Hilda Fried. Such a fretter, I just can't decide. Guy's a poet. He will die for his crimes. Bottom left. Oh, what is that? Magnute. Keith and that human kid are gonna starve in that rock prison. Seems I'm right for crossing us. We'll see about that. Right next to the bridge in the colony. Lava and Adel stuck. I want to make this Shrine of Solomon. Keith never was any good at obeying orders. A little bit of troublemaker, that one. This Keith might be the key. Oh, they shoot projectiles. That's good to know. What is this? A black pearl is embedded in the statue's forehead. No, I'm not taking. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna save first, and then I'm gonna take it. Give me that. Acquired black pearl. Oh, those monsters are not. We're all doomed. Our strength is fading. We can't fight Adel anymore. Without the black pearl, we're powerless against that brute Adel. Really? What does it do? A jet black gemstone of profound magic, housing an unnatural flame at its core. Interesting. So they're guarding this pearl. Oh, that hurt. What does it do? Okay, this is the only other door. I'm gonna save again, just in case. It's our new page. I should actually see what they have to say. American prison's gonna starve to death. You kind of defeat the point of taking him hostage, you know? Right. That kid's dead. It's gonna be hell to pay. If he's dead yet, jeez. Another doorway. Okay, just these two. Oh. We saw that. Opus. Living fossil from the age of dinosaurs. Quick to anger. Attacks both with the force of its weight and with the two long spikes that protrude from its back. Magnute. Demon from the fiery mode of Burn It Bless. Body is made of a lump of fused lava, mercilessly burning. While it touches, fire magic has no effect on it. Good to know. Very good to know. I would definitely try. Try to shoot a fireball at it. This looks like a boss chamber. Alright. I peered into the crack of the wall, but it was too dark to see anything on the other side. What about the light? Oh, the light doesn't do anything either. What about my attic? Can't use that either. Darn. Okay, so obviously this chamber is important, but once again I am given a conundrum. I heard faint sounds of breathing through the crack in the wall and tried calling out to their source. Is somebody there? Hey, Arf, are you here to rescue me? The stone wall is really solid, so unless you're a big mass of muscles, I don't think you can knock it down. Huh? It sounded as if Tarf was speaking with someone on the other side of the wall. So you need what exactly? There's some pretty specific tastes. Oh, Pearl. Okay, I thought you said girl. Hey, you still there? Keith asked me to tell you something. He says he wants you to find him something called the Black Pearl, which I have. If you can get a hold of it and bring it here, Keith says he can break the wall and set us free. See if you can find it, okay? Huh? You have the Black Pearl. Here, try to pass it through me to the gap in the wall. Right, there you go. A little more to the right. Almost got it. Okay, hold it. Right there. Awesome, I can feel it. Alright, I've got it. Thanks, mister. Wait, what do you mean tell him to get back? Hey, you out there. My cellmate here says you should stand back. I think he's gonna do something. Boom. Alright, we're out. We're free. Keith, where are you going? You're leaving? Oh, damn. Keith. He's gone. Anyway, thanks for your help, mister. With Keith in here, I almost didn't mind getting kidnapped, even though it's been almost 2 full days. I was finally starting to get really hungry though, so I'm glad you came when you did. Keith is a demon who's locked in here with me. Even though he's not human, he can speak our language. I really wasn't scared to be around him. He was fun to talk to. From what I could tell, he'd been in here a lot longer than me. He was also really nice. A kind, well-behaved, intelligent demon. Never seen anything like it before. But when I handed him the Black Pearl, he suddenly turned vicious, like a normal demon, and he broke the wall. Why would something like that happen? This looks like a rock to me. Oh hey, are you Adol by any chance? The demon who shut me in here was telling me I was to look for a red-haired swordsman named Adol. That I am, little boy. That I am. You know, I was kind of wondering if you're the reason I got locked up in there. But you came to rescue me, so I guess all is forgiven. So you want to escort me back to the village? I mean, I'm a defenseless little kid, so it'd be mean to say no. No. Yeah, let's go. Let's go, kid. Oh, I have to actually bring him back. Oh, goodness. Okay. Definitely gonna save. I'm assuming my return magic doesn't work with him. Or does it? I'm not gonna try. You look kind of weak. You should be more ferocious looking like Keith. Let's follow Keith. Kid. Oh goodness, okay. I'm not entirely sure where I am. Ooh, relative to Lava City. Hopefully, he just made... It would have to be this way, right? Because otherwise I gotta go back to the gas chamber. It was the other way? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know where I'm going, little boy. Yeah, because the other way would be I'd have to go through the gas chamber. I only got the one leaf, so... There'd be no way to bring him. Kill these damn monsters. Come on, Tarf. You are slow as fuck. We are. Up. Come on. Similar to saving one of the girls in the first game. I'm sure there's an achievement for getting him to level up. It's his class, his job in this game is called Rascal. Okay, is this the way, kid? Okay, it must be. Tarf is not. What? Shit. Scared me. Come on, Tarf. Bring you back to your father. Oh, don't get stuck in that shit. Come on. Here we are. Only of lava. Perfect. Tarf. Thank goodness. Tarf, you're not hurt. You're alright? I'm fine. No big deal at all. Not like I'm scared of the demons even one little bit. I am kind of hungry, though. I see. Well, let's get some food here, then. Okay. As for you, I don't know how I can ever thank you. I'm so sorry for what I said to you before. If not for Mr. Adel, I don't know what would have happened to me. I could have been left to starve, and man, that would be the worst fate of all. Well, this has been a real eye-opener for me. We can't allow the demons keep doing things like this. Time to lower that bridge. You show 'em, Dad. Fight the machine. You have someplace to be, no? I'll lower the bridge for you right away. Nice. Oh, I got a lot of XP for that, too. Very cool. Being watched by demons, right? You should get out of here before anyone else finds I escaped. Good idea, kid. If you go this way past the lava-filled regions, you'll reach Ramia village. Keep them. Mister. Oh, nice. Keep my magic earrings. Here we have it. Off you go then. don't recall there being a shop here, so just gonna check in with everybody here. What did the old lady have to say? She seemed to know a lot. I guess she just didn't. You've already saved Tarf, so I guess we don't have to drive you away anymore. I may not have said anything, but that's just her way. She's grateful as well, to be sure. Okay. Definitely gonna save. Damn it, magic. The magic. The music picked up right away. As soon as I left. Oh, what is that? Albanaut, that is a cool ass name. Born demon from Burn Blessed. It's a human body with the head of a bull. Makes opposed with a large axe. Will also happily gore its victims with its horns. Yes, it's a minotaur. Zelbanaut does sound cool though. Oh. Nice. Ton of gold, just like that. I'm curious what they have to say. If anything of imports. Did I? In there? Yeah, I did. Okay. Back up and around. Who's this? Unless I can beat him, there's no way through. Ah, a boss. A challenge. Challenge to be met. Well, if that's the case, I think I'm actually going to return to Lance Village. Right, we got kidnapped, but I want... What do I have? My shield. I want my new shield. Especially with that treasure chest giving me a bunch of gold. Just perfect. I don't think he has anything new. Nah. Okay. Large shield. Perfect. Okay. Equip. Which I love the art for this. Red shield. Nice. Got a nice stat boost. We're going to rest in the bed. Get all our stats back. There we go. Okay, back to the colony. Now I can continue. I'm gonna save. Oh, damn. Locking that up. What is that? Gene. Guard? Rich guard turns traitor on us. I'll no doubt be coming this way. But a huge demon's been summoned to take him out as last resort contingency plan, so he's toasted if he does. Let's see about that. Okay, door to the left. Just the door to the left, it looks like. Okay. We'll see about that contingency. I fear no demons. I talk shit now, but I'll almost every time I've talked shit about a boss, it promptly whips my ass. This huge guy came down here not too long ago, specifically to take down Adol in case he makes it this far. He's just up ahead. You should go say hi. I will. Thank you. Luck duck. I like that they went out of their way to name every single monster. Presumably, the unique names. Genes. What's a harmless fire sprite? The demonic influence transformed this creature into a malicious beast, as it's already wreathed in flame. Fire magic does not hurt it. Huh. I better save. I'm not sure where this boss is, but they're building up to it. Oh, and I leveled. Perfect. I want to see what you have to say. He's a cruel swine. I bet he was cursed at birth. Dare you call me a swine? How dare you? Okay. Maybe this is about. Oh, goodness. Oh, he is big. He's really big. Gelity? Ew, what the fuck? What is that? Ew. Ew. No, I don't want to touch it. What the fuck? Man, it's a throat goat. Oh no. I'm gonna die. I forgot to equip my hawk idol. I don't like how veiny he gets. Ew. What the fuck? No. Don't hit me with that shit. I'm dead. I don't know what the hell he puked up on me, but that's gross. That's fucking gross. That's disgusting. Here's my idol. There we go. Oh, he did not like that. Am I even hurting him? Not right. Oh, that's not good. Did that hurt him? Do I have to throw it into his mouth? Oh, I don't like how fast he moves. Okay, yeah, when he opens his mouth, okay. Ew, this boss is gnarly. Disgusting. Ew. Ew, I don't like this. It's like I'm being chased by a giant Johnson. Or being chased by a giant one-eyed monster. Step right up and see the one-eyed monster. Oh no. Oh no. Just kill me. Oh man. Once more. Okay, I can't get it when that uh thing is coming out of his mouth. I don't know who the hell designed this boss. Keep an eye on them. Come on. Now that I know his trick, his gimmick, it's not so bad. Oh, that hurt though. I'm dead. Got quartered. That sucks. Again, once more. Once more. Into the fray. The greatest fight I'll ever know. Yeah, right. I don't like this boss. Ew. I don't like how his veins are pulsating. It's gross. Swallow this. Ugh, and his eyeballs follow me. Also gross. Oh, damn. Right into that. Okay. Ugh. This is really, I don't like this boss at all. This is disgusting. Disgusting. Disgusting creature. This is why I must die. He summoned sprites too? What the hell? What the fuck is this? What is this nonsense? Oh, this sucks. This really sucks. Fuck. Oh, man. Okay. At least I think I know his gimmick. I don't think I can actually hurt it with the small fireball. Seems like the larger ones do actually do damage. Oh, careful. I don't have my Hawk Idol equipped, that sucks. Oh well. Just to make do without it. Man, okay. That lack of Hawk Idol might do me in. I think it's gonna let me go equip that. And save for that. There we go. Galaldi. Galaldi. Alright, ugly bastard. Ugh, I don't like looking at him. I don't like anything about him. Come on, ugly. What is he even puking up? Like, is that like a... I want to say intestine, right? But it's shaped a little sus. Come on. Into the corner. There we are. I didn't hit him once. That long thing. That long veiny thing keeps blocking my attacks. Oh, and he puked out the... Gene. Oh, damn. Oh, we're getting kind of close here. Okay, okay. Alright, we're alright. Whoa, damn, okay. It hurt. That hurt a lot. Just a bit more. One more blast to it. There we go. Yes. Nice. And a level up. Definitely saving after that. What? This is lore. Get lolly. A truly hideous beast with the appearance of a giant severed head. Approaches its prey slowly, occasionally releasing an oversized tentacle from its mouth to block an escape route. Stick high is impenetrable. Tentacle. Ah, yeah. Big and meaty, veiny tentacle. Nice. Just in case. Can I break that? No. Okay. I mean, a village. Not from around here, are you? Rith. There's an old man who lives here named Reg. Reg. The scholar, you might say. Everyone thinks of him like family. Because of all the demons, though, he's no longer able to research the Solomon Shrine. I'm pretty down. If you can, please pay him a visit and tell him stories of your journey. It'll brighten his spirits, I think. Damn demons. Can run out of the homeless. Hold on. Looking for a Reg. Keep doors firmly shut. Defense begins with you. Or Karen. Ever since her daughter, Maria, was taken away by demons, she shut herself in her house crying. Will the goddesses grant us mercy and save us from this horrible fate? Good question. Karen. Oh, Maria. Demons were on the hunt earlier, and they took away my daughter, Maria. She's been led away as a sacrifice. Well, that's not good. Oh no, the bell in the shrine is ringing again. Tolling of the bell means another sacrifice is being offered. Someone was just killed. Not my daughter, but her turn may be next. Oh, Maria, why? Why did it have to be you? No, I'm gonna save her. Because that's what heroes do. Lloyd! Out of Solomon's Shrine, as you can see, the shadows turn dark and sinister on us. Life sucks, then you die. Cadet, traveling swordsman. You have the eyes of one who's seen many things, yet always desires to see more. That's a good way to put it. Ramira. Father's missing. Easy. Reese. And Reg's basement. The water there is crystal clear. Take a drink of it and you'll be amazed at how refreshed you feel. Interesting. Okay. When I find this Reg, we'll check his basement. Marie was Sada's fiance. Poor guy. He's taking very well. Can you blame him? Blitz. And sacking the village for another sacrifice. Just the other day, a girl named Maria was taken. It's not just from Ramia either. Monsters have been taking sacrifices from all villages. There are demons out there. Demons! Yes. I'm well aware. This is a cemetery. Okay. Muto. These are the graves of all those who were sacrificed. None of the bodies ever been recovered, but we couldn't just leave it at that, you know? We've lost so many in the last 6 months. 6 months. Keith. Just and righteous heart. Keith. What the hell? Marley, the kind and gentle. Marley flowers? Ike, the ageless. Tiddles, the prudent. Tiddles. Deister, the honest. In quotes. Dana, the displaced. Wiseau, the favorite customer. This door is open. Why is it open? I'm gonna save. Ah, Marley flower. Nothing back here. Just checking. By all the indications, the house was abandoned. There's no sign of anyone living there. That's it, huh? Oh, my whisper earrings are on. No secrets in here, huh? I'm assuming they all got sacrificed. It's just abandoned. What a shame. It's Faye, kinda girly, I know. Adel told the little boy his name. Mr. Adel. You going off on an adventure, Mr. Adel? Get pretty rough around here, so be careful, okay? I will. Oh, a warrior. Neil. I know that if demons come out from the shrine again, I'll be the first one they attack. We'd love to fight back, but we just don't have the manpower for it. Might not count for much. I'm going to stay ever vigilant right here and warn everyone if they come back. Good man. Crow. 3 days ago, my friend Maria was captured by demons, taken away for sacrifice. I wish I could go save her, but someone like me wouldn't last 2 minutes in there. Where's guards supposed to enter the shrine anyway, so I never even get in. Assuming those wooden stairs of the shrine will they last. Reg. Or Reg. Reg. I'm just an old man. My time in this world is just about up. Demons or no. If they should take me, I'd be almost grateful. What the fuck, Reg? My purpose in life is to study artifacts within its walls. I never once imagined the place that would become a haven for demons and a source for great malice. I lost everything I care about. Aw. Okay, this is basement. Like demons, huh? What about Rue? If you're here to kill me, at least make it quick death. Oh. This guy's depressed. Oh. The well, the ancient well. Ah. Okay, so it's just a healing. Attack mana. Same as if I'm a demon? Yep, okay. Comments on it, okay. Oh, I'd be so depressed. What if I give him some gifts? It's hard like me. You may have unrestricted access to the well in my basement. But I already was doing that. "100 Tales of Battle." Oh, he's one of those old people. "100 Tales of my myriad love affairs, withholding no details." Adult's like, oh god, what have I got myself into? No deals with Journey Untold. Adult just wants nothing to do with it, man. Adult needs to see it with its own eyes. For him, just hearing about the story is not good enough. Oh, a shop. Salem. Oh. Sure. You're a young one, but you certainly do seem to know your way around with a sword. You look ferocious, like a lion. I get the feeling that you're a really great guy, but if you intend to fight the demons around these parts, you'll need some quality equipment to do the deed. Does she ever sail? Hyper cutter. You cut through anything. They do mean anything. It's still only 10,000 gold. Not wrong. I didn't mean to pick swords again. Shields. No new shields. Just a sword. Armor. She sells the reflex. 16,000. Damn. That's crazy. Unfortunately, I don't have the gold to purchase. That's fine. I'll have it eventually. Okay, so the shop's there. Is there any other? Oh, that's the entrance to the caves. I believe that was all the buildings. Let's go ahead and save. New page. Page 6. Orto. My name is Gordo. I hate to be a bother, but I really need to get your take on something. Can you spare a moment? 3 days ago, I had a really strange dream. In it, there were these 2 girls who told me a red-haired swordsman would soon be arriving in the village. They said they wanted me to offer him my help. And here you are. Adol told the guard about the scroll that had led him to Solomon's Shrine. I see, but even if I let you through this gate, there's still another gate beyond guarded by demons. You'll need to get past them to get into Solomon's Shrine. And as you'd expect, they don't take kindly to humans passing through. Unless you can turn yourself into a monster or something, you run up against a brick wall. Gordo's expression turned solemn. There's a friend of mine, Theta. He went in recently. I tried to stop him, but I couldn't. Ooh. I like these little cutscenes. These in-game sprites. Open the gate, Gordo. I'm going to rescue Maria, even if I have to take down every last demon to do so. Theta, look, I understand your feelings, I really do. But let's not do anything rash, okay? You need to calm down and wait for the right chance. Jump in without thinking, and you'll just get yourself killed. So you want me to just sit around in the vain hope that a perfect opportunity comes along? If I do that, Maria's gonna die. And I'm sorry, but I just can't let that happen. I know all that. I do understand the gravity of the situation, and I feel exactly the same way you do. Why are you standing in my way? Maria's my life. There's not going to be a perfect opportunity. It's now or never, and never is not an option. Theta. Stand aside, Gordo. Oh, shit. I'm sorry, but I can't just let Maria die. I hope you understand. Theta, you... Make sure this gate stays shut. Knowing him as well as I do, I expect he'll give the demons a run for their money. But Solomon's Shrine is many times larger than this village, and the layout is about as labyrinthine as it gets. I guess the best thing I could do to help you would be to open this gate, but I'm a little afraid to. You may be strong, but I don't think you'll be able to infiltrate the shrine without a bit of forethought. Before you hit in the shrine, go ask Harat for some assistance. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He'll be able to help you cook up a plan of attack for sure. Okay, so I need to see Harat. Wait, what did he say? Wooden house all the way at the bottom of the stairs. Okay. From a demon. Is that you, Adol? How the heck did you turn yourself into a Roo? Because... I have no reason. Harat. Ah, he has art as well. Adol told Harat that he had come to seek his aid, as Gordo had suggested. You actually want to go into that demon-infested shrine of your own free will? Adol Kristen, I have a favor to ask of you. I have a son named Seda, but I haven't seen him for 3 days now. Our family is in possession of a rare sword, an heirloom. And that sword went missing 3 days ago as well. Gordo says that my son Seda has gone to the shrine to rescue his fiancée Maria, who was captured by the demons. If you sincerely do intend to infiltrate the Shrine of Solomon, would you please try to find my son and bring him home? No. Yeah, I will. I see. Thank you. I'll do everything I can to aid you in this mission, starting with this. Leela Shell. What is that? With this Leela Shell, you can get in touch with me from anywhere in the world. Ah, it's a phone. If you have any problems or need any advice, please don't hesitate to use it. I regret that I won't be able to fight at your side. You're a strong, smart fellow. You'll do just fine on your own, I'm sure. I have faith in you. Very good. Give me 1 second here. There we go. My son. Looks like this is more. It is a spirit, so is a sword which serves as our family heirloom. Seems what domestic marine. Okay, it's already told me about that. Okay, so it's just more of what I already know. Army of Village. Army of Village prospered in the shadow of the shrine gates. We've been living peacefully here since East rose into the sky 700 years ago. Interesting. Who knows quite why, but around 6 months ago, demons began pouring out of the shrine of Solomon. We've established a lookout post in front of the shrine now to give us advance warning of the demons' attack. They are powerful after all, and they vastly outnumber us. If we should try to fight back, they'd raise the village to the ground without the slightest effort. Only hide. It's still a painful memory. 2 innocent people living in the house died there. Oh. They're dead. I had assumed that they were sacrificed, but I guess not. Oh, it looks like they were just outright killed in there. Curious. Nah, evil bell doesn't do anything. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Save. You can use that to bug Haddad from anywhere in East, right? Pretty handy little artifact to have on hand. Alright, give me a sec. I'll open the gate. Oh, there you are then. Take care, Adel. If you have any problems, make sure to let me know about them. Those 2 girls in my dream told me to help you, but even if they hadn't, I get this weird feeling I'd do it anyway. Oh, I'd like that. Oh, can I? They're very tanky. Okay. 1 second. Sure, that hyper cutter would come in handy. What do you want? What's that? You beat Adol. This is your proof? Adol showed his own equipment to the guards. Does match with the description we were given. Alright, nice work. Go and report this at once. You know where Mistress Sava's room is? It's on the 3rd floor of that building. What was it? One priest mess I used to govern. I don't know what it's called, but it's east of the shrine entrance. Got that? You got it. Maybe now, we'll finally have some peace. Go on, you should report this right away. I like that his name is Gatekeeper Jr. Thank you. Putis? I wonder if I can kill these things. Let's see. Okay, I can. Start farming XP and gold. Oh man. Okay. Okay, it's not as bad as I thought. I thought there was going to be a lot of bridges and walkways and... This song reminds me of Zelda. Love that flamenco guitar. What are these things? Ashvale. Bioluminescent ogre with a taste for flesh attacks its prey without mercy, brutally flaying them with its spear. Found in the shrine's entrance areas. Ogres. Ashzar. Valkar. Easy there. These Nash stars. I'm assuming this all leads outside. Yeah, okay. Nothing really of note, but just to be sure there's no hidden treasures. Oh, that goes east, okay. Save. All sector. Ooh, it's hit all. Why is that mage behind the wall? Yeah, on the same area. It's locked. Oh. Okay, then we'll just go east. Read up on these monsters. Read a card. Demonic monk, wearing a magic wand and cloaked in dark red robes. A low-rank mage, but the energy it fires from its eyes is quite deadly nonetheless. And the Nashzar, a goblin-like creature that keeps most of its body shielded while striking foes with a spear. Often uses its horns to throw its prey into the air for easier hits. Brutal. Demon did say to go east. I should talk to some of these monsters just to keep things moving along. Do you want the clock? No. Unfortunately, it seems like a lot of them don't have much to say. All the dialogue is funny. I appreciate it. I really see stuff like that in RPGs nowadays. Curious. What is in here? Yama sector. Oh, okay. This looks like a room that would hold something, like a prison. And it's empty. Is it just a roof? Okay. Is there another walkway? No. Okay. Second floor, another door. Goes outside. Publishing house for our gate passes. Okay. Let's check out this other door. There's... Let's save again. Led up to a gate, I think. And he's dead. Small passageway. What is this? Sabanite? Will Williana. What's that? A report from Mistress Zava. I'm afraid she's attending a conference in the Northern Reception Hall. Urgent matter regarding battle, you say. Very well then. I'll issue a pass to get through security. Use priority 1 right now. After all, so any information you can provide will welcome. Okay. Pass. Very nice. Oh. Pass in order to the shrine. Show the guard to open the gates. While we travel there, we to slaughter. For gold. Gold for its own sake. Gold and XP. I think I need to run back this way. This place is confusing to maneuver through. But I think I can manage. Ow. Okay, that's the way forward. Was there anything else that I missed? I don't think I did, but I've been fooled before. Okay, yeah, no, that's the way back. You look scrumptious. Ultramarine? The hell is he talking about? What? Doors. Oh, here's a door. Wow, okay. Nothing in here. Nothing here as well. Oh, a fountain. Very nice. I am lost. I want to meet this Mistress Zava, whatever her name is. Oh, a chest. Hell yeah. Gold. Money. Gold for its own sake. What time is it? Okay, I'll be ending here soon. Damn. Got you. About to level. Which is nice. Oops. Just giving that free gold just for exploring, which is nice. Reward. I am a little lost. What the fuck? Okay. So I came out of. Mr. Sava's bedroom. What, do you have something to report to her? She's actually out at the moment. She's in the northern reception hall now. Let's see a plan to get rid of the intruder. Okay. Here. Oh, she's very tanky. Wow. Okay. I might need that hyper cutter. What was it, 16,000 or 10,000? I hope it's 10,000. This level, okay. Oh, damn, I'm getting destroyed. I wanted to see if I can actually kill her. Unfortunately, I think I'm lost. I don't know where to get to her. Is it here? No, that's where the gold is. Okay. But I'll... Oh, damn. What I'll likely do is teleport. You're beating my ass. Okay. I want the hyper cutter. Lovely Zalem. Yes, give me the hyper cutter. 10,000. Yeah. The sword forged from a unique alloy. Its blue blade. It's a keen cutting edge. Very nice. Oh, that is a huge jump in power. Hell yeah. Okay. Now, I am going to teleport. Wentz Village. Sleep in the bed for free. And Lily is definitely being sacrificed, or going to be sacrificed. I'll try to save her and Maria at the same time. Here we are. Okay, and teleport back to Ramia Village. A little bit better. Sense of I forgot about these guys. Oh no! No! Oh, damn, it sucks. That really sucks. Oh man. That's what I get for not saving. The hyper cutter is nowhere near enough to cut through those guards. So I will remember that. Get the pass from Epona. Wow. Oh, the name. Epona. I think she, never mind. I'm not gonna say it. Ora, of course, being its trusty steed. This is where I came. Yeah, okay. It would help if I remembered which way I went. I'm just going to do this blind. Right, okay, I have the pass so I can go back to the main area. Boom. Is that here? That's the gates. That's where I want to go, but there are other things to explore. Which I've already seen, but I'll need to see it again. And which will give me some money for the hyper cutter. Damn, they do it. They do a ton of damage, even with my armor. Okay, here's the gold. We'll see if I can level up fast. I think this way. Okay. Just double checking. No, Falcom likes their dead ends because of their dungeons. Back up. I don't think there's much more to see in this area. So, this level. This is where her chamber was. She almost beat my ass. Oh. So I think it's time to leave. It's village. Rest. Ramia. Hyper Cutter. And back into the fray. Wrong house. Here we are. Probably not the most efficient way to heal, but this is the one I know. I've been picking apples again. Okay, I'm gonna buy this sword and then immediately save. Hyper Cutter. 10k. Nice. Wait, what did she say? It's still at a discount. Interesting. Okay. Let me equip my sword. Never got her saving instantly. Okay, let's see if we can find this Sava. You need to get back in. How come you need to get back in when I never saw you come out? You should be in there already. Maybe I was just distracted. I hope Lord Dallies doesn't find out. Dallies. Okay, we're gonna go straight to the next zone. So we already searched all this. Is this not next zone? What's in here? Here it is. Up. There we go. There we go. Save a little mana. Well, I'm making short work of these guys. Okay. Just save again. What is that? Boondocks. El Endes. Can I kill it? Yes, I can. It's even found northeast part of the shrine. Floats about with you, tight like the Grim Reaper. One swing could easily split a man in twain. We'll see about that. What is that? Nustarl. Beerot. Lots of monsters running around. That goes into a building. See that door I save? It's a blaz. Statue-like demon stays perfectly still to fool its prey and strikes when they least expect it, drains life energy of its prey with its eyes. The Rod, strong as the human-like demons. Adorned in golden armor, it's hardened to diamonds. Only the mightiest of strikes can even come close to penetrating it. It's locked, okay. Oh. Here, demons. Sounds like it's getting pretty nasty in there. What the fuck? Whatever's being discussed in that room, the proceedings had become quite intense, but Adol couldn't make out any specifics of what was being said. I was just curious saying that worked. Okay. Oh, shit, okay. Maybe I should have went and got those apples. These guys are tough, to be sure. Definitely tough. Oh. Oh, this sucks. Door. Right door? Right door. Oh, looks like left. Oh no, okay. Ring of Ease. What is that? It's a soft green hue when worn. Calms the soul and soothes away one's troubles. Consumption of magic power. Oh, very nice. Gonna heal up here a bit. This music is awesome. What does the other one sound like? Okay. Let's do it while I heal up. Very nice. What about the... Oh, I like the drum in this one. Very nice. I think the complete version is probably the weakest of the three. Oh, this goes all the way around. Very nice. Okay, so I don't have to go back out. Cool. Oh, we can get through with the demon form. Very nice. Oh. Drago. The intended sacrifices have escaped. That, by itself, wouldn't be such a problem. But they also got away with the shrine key. If Adol should get his hands on it, there's no telling how much trouble he'd cause. They've been quiet since their escape, too. No sign of their presence that we've been able to detect. The entire shrine has been placed on high alert so that we may capture this red-haired swordsman. One misstep on his part, and we'll have him. Fortuna. Even if he makes it to a different sector, he won't get far without knowing our password, Mika. Yep, as long as we keep that to ourselves, it can't possibly get any more important. Now, about those countermeasures. Mika. You follow the annoying password, Mika. Okay. Look at that, Mika. It's just yak, yak, yak. Mr. Saba, the Yapper. Okay. Does that open this door? Let me save really fast. I guess it does not. Okay. I'm gonna use all my mana being a demon. I don't recall. Well, I guess there wasn't a zone on there. That's the way out. And there's nothing over in this building. Where is there? No, that's it. Okay. Most likely then, I have missed. Gotta get the level up. Missed another path. I just realized that previous sector was Act sector, yeah. Act Gamma. Me. I'm going to assume. I shouldn't assume, but I think there may have been another path back where I started. Problem is getting back there. I think it's this way. Up and around. Wrong way. The wrong way. If it was a walkway to go northeast, maybe one that goes west. Is there? Maybe not. Oh, maybe there is. Okay, this is Tova's sector. The pass. Through. Without the password, you may not proceed. What's the password? Ika. That's the one. I'll open the gate for you right away. Thank you, good sir. The sacrificial human has escaped and seems to be hiding out in the subterranean canal. If you find him, report him back immediately. What is that? I want to kill it. Lockius. Demon renowned for its one red eye, it can roll itself up into its shell of protection, and its exoskeleton bends and gives readily, allowing for quick movements. Okay, so one door. Oh. Alice. This is as far as you go, adult Kristen. Opposing us as you are would be foolish at best. suggest that you take your leave quickly. I'm not Adel Kristen. Demon, man. If you would take your leave, I'll forgive your trespass. Okay. Cool. Good talk. I think maybe that's the way I'm supposed to go. So let me explore a bit. I'll go back to him. Treasure. 3,000 gold, damn. These guys are rolling in it. God drops. I should try to kill these, just for the XP and gold. Okay, that's just flat out locked. What is that? Douglas! Are you Adel disguise? No? Yes? Trover? An axe bug. Interesting. Hopefully I'm not missing something by pissing him off. Oh, I got a little. Oh, nice. I think I was already in there. Yeah. Oh, damn. That really hurt. What the fuck? Is there a way down? Just checking. Okay, so check this way. Okay, that's the way down. That leads to the treasure. Maybe. Maybe there's treasure. Can't resist. Where is it? I saw it earlier. I need it. Rhoda fruits. Oh. Let me go ahead and eat this. Okay, so, and the treasure. Now I can return to Man in the Cloak. That's interesting. So does that mean that Dark Fact was not the Man in the Cloak from the first game? I haven't explored this. Oh, another door. Let's see if it's locked. Yep, okay. My assumption was that Dark Fact was the one going around killing people in the first game. But apparently it isn't. I am about to die. I better save. I may have to flee. What I should do is use this room. Use this room to heal. Okay, there we go. Very slowly and steadily heal. see. Oh, I'm actually about to level even. Perfect. A lot of gold. I could be sneaking past all these monsters. As long as I have mana, but I want that XP and I want that gold. Because I would like to buy that elixir. Along with the other equipment, of course. I already have enough to max out my plate armor, or reflex armor. There we go. There's the level. This place truly is a labyrinth. I am having doubts about skipping that cloaked man now. I'm gonna go back. Unfortunately, I'm lost. Okay, down. Right, okay, down outside here, and all the way to the right. There's a treasure, which means I'm close. I'm close. Here, no? Yeah, there he is. Ah, what the fuck? So you reject my offer. I extend to you my goodwill, and you would spit on me. Cool. Maru, you live all your days as that which you have struggled against for so long. This form is most appropriate for one who would so readily dance at the goddess's whim. And there he goes. I am now really a Rue. What the fuck? I can still fight. Also really fast. Can't swim. I'm thinking maybe I was right the first time and should have explored. The design is etched to the door resembling a hydra. It seems to be locked. Okay. Oh, I am taking a lot of damage as well. Oh man. These monsters seem to be confused as to why I'm attacking them. But they can still hurt me. It's just not so nice. Or Addle, cursed to forever be a Rue. Oats. Oh. Demon. Let's track us down. Everyone set your weight against the door. Keep that thing out no matter what. I'm not a demon. Zono speaking in any recognizable language. Shit. Oh. Alright then. Clearly, I need to be in here in human form, but I've been cursed. He hexed me. He turned me into a newt. I don't know if I can remember my way back. Little rough. It's way back. That's what I get for pissing off a wizard. He used animal form on me. Or demon form, whatever the hell I am. Okay, I'm assuming that all goes in the same place. There's a solemn atmosphere throughout the room. Okay, so the scroll was the right one. Great warrior, you've done well in reaching the region of burned bliss. Oh, no, that's what it said last time, okay. The mirror doesn't work. Not the earrings, what about the phone? Reg, has some clue. I don't want the slightest idea what you're saying to me, sorry. Aha, that sounds important. So, my first thought was that the shell let me communicate with the villagers or sacrifices who are hiding. But since Reg's name was outlined in blue, that makes me think that maybe I have to go back and talk to him, which is not unheard of for a game like Ys. Oh shit. I'm about to die. Let me heal up. Spirit cake. Healing, healing, healing. It's full. That's plenty of health. Okay, I think that's all to explore here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to teleport back to Ramia Village. I'm gonna level first, since I'm right there. Level first and then teleport. XP. Nice, okay. Oh, I can teleport right back there. Very nice. Okay, cool. It's not going to take as long as I thought it would. Oh. I need to find Reg. Reg is in here, is he not? No, this is Harat. Okay. Reg is somewhere. There. In one of these houses. The wood house? Yes. Oh, that's Karen. Is this Reg's house? Nope. Is he perhaps up the stairs? Yes. Now, what would a demon, or an old fool like me, Adel desperately tried to explain who he was? A curse, is it? Alright, I understand. Can you explain to me exactly how this happened? I will explain the manner in which he had been cursed. I see. Quite a powerful wizard then. First order of business is to get you turned human again, which shouldn't be too difficult. It seems the priest Dabby is said to have possessed a magical artifact known as the Sacred Cup. If you fill it with a certain kind of water, it becomes blessed. The resulting holy water can nullify curses. The Sacred Cup is said to be somewhere in the shrine, in a room with walls of a color distinct from its surroundings. In the shrine, walls, colors, okay. Finding the room is the first step towards recovering your true form. Alright then, can I not purchase equipment as I am? I can, I'd like to upgrade my armor. Oh. Should have guessed. Okay then. Have to once more into the fray. Yeah, we did this already. Okay. Once more in. Well, honestly, I think I might be about time to call it, but we'll see. Room with walls distinct from the rest of it. Very vague. I don't think I came across any similar room. I can't say for certain. I'm usually pretty thorough in my exploration, and nothing stood out to me. Which means it may be in one of these empty rooms. There were a few empty rooms. Room. This room? This room is blue. Hard to say. And this is Dabby's sector. Okay, so the priest Dabby has the cup in a room. A different color than the rest of the building. Those walls are blue. We'll give it one more good look around. If not, then Dream. Wasn't that other empty Minotaur reminder? If I remember right, okay. This room is different, maybe? Maybe not. So your cutscene says some connection to Dabby. Right, that's where I'm at. Unfortunately, these empty rooms do not house the cup. As much as I'd like to find this cup before I end the stream. I had to put it off until tomorrow, which is fine. This is where the mage turned me, cursed me. That goes to the sewer. Oh. Love this song. Ow. What's even worse is that I can't talk to these demons. I automatically attack them. I can't talk to them for hints. Dang. What a shame. Unless it's in here somewhere. Ah! The sacred cup. Stay to the light is all. Okay. The sacred vessel that purifies water, giving it the ability to dispel evil. Okay, I'm assuming the water is in Reg's basement, but I'll be back in 1 second. Right. We'll see if we can cure Adel's curse with this cup. Ah, you're back, and with the sacred cup, no less. I'll have you back to normal in no time. Let's see what we have here. Greg took the sacred cup in his hands and studied it excitedly. It is. It really is. It's the sacred cup at long last. Oh, sorry. Sorry. You wanted some sacred water, did you not? Yes. I can say with some pride that this old well is another of my research specimens, and a mighty good one. The water supply has never once run out in 700 years' time. If my findings are correct, it should meet all the necessary criteria for sacred water, and then some. Mix 1 part reg special well water with 1 sacred cup, and what do you get? Holy water, all the way. Moment of truth. Reg filled the sacred cup with well water. Take a drink. It should return you to your human form. Adel took a drink from the sacred cup, now filled with water. Ah, yes. Marvelous. You're a sight for sore eyes, my boy. With that dark rue form, something wasn't without its charms. Thanks, Reg. Oh no, I turned back. Oh, you're cursed again. That's right. Okay, now I can get my armor. I'm gonna get my armor. I'll talk to the sacrifices, their hideouts, and then tomorrow when I play again, I should actually have this beaten, hopefully. $16,000 gold, yes. Very good. I don't think she had strong shields. She just had normal shields. Yeah, okay. Nice. Oh, that looks sick. Very good. Okay. Now I can also teleport to the runaway hideout. Nice. I'm glad I don't have to run all the way back. Well, this is a surprise if it isn't Adel Kristen. It's me, Boats, the miner from Lance. I was captured by demons in Rustini, and, well, you know the rest, I suppose. And don't be too surprised, but Lily is here too. Oh, we found her. She escaped here with the rest of us, and she simply won't shut up about you. I do believe she's smitten. Pretty smooth, lover boy. You work fast. You should go see her and get what's coming to you. Oh. Oh my. Hell. Get away from the demons easily enough, but Maria is captured. If we don't hurry, she'll be sacrificed. Nolt. Right? Hey, don't you remember me? I'm Noit. Nolt, from the colony of lava. A demon named Keith told me something before we came here. Seems that the passage leading to the goddess's palace has been sealed off in some particular manner. But if you touch a goddess statue with something once owned by the goddesses, you'll go where you need to be. Interesting. Keep that in mind. Lilia! Adel! Can it be? Is it really you? It's like a dream. I never thought I'd see you again. I was just out walking not far from the village when some demons on the hunt came out of nowhere. We all fled here after a demon named Keith saved us in the bell tower where we were being held. While we were escaping, he gave me this key, said to pass it on to you. It's the master key for all the shrine doors. Ah! I can open them all. I'm quite certain you'll be able to make good use of it, Adel. Receive shrine key. Very good. Ominous voice suddenly echoed from all around Adel. I must congratulate you on all your accomplishments, Lapdog. I'm sure the goddesses have a treat for you. Damn, Dallies. You are a most helpful soul, though. You've led me right to the hideout of these obnoxious runaways. These people have learned all too much about this forsaken land. So, of course, I simply cannot permit them to live. You cope well with your own suffering, swordsman. But how might you fare in dealing with the torment of others? My precious little runaways. Since you so deeply fear sacrifice, I'll spare you that fate. In favor of another. Oh, what? Oh no! All at once, all sound was drained from the immediate vicinity. For a moment, Adol feared he had been stricken deaf. As a token of my thanks to you for finding these wretches, I've spared you from the spell's effects. Behold, and despair at how powerless you truly are. No, Lilia! It was as if time had stopped for everyone except Adol. Damn it. Just saved her too. Lilia stood in place, still and silent as a statue. Oh, they altered. No. Not like this. Okay, there is a door I can use this key on in here. I'm gonna check that and then I'll call it. Of course, there's also multiple doors in the shrine. They're locked. Up. Level up. Gonna save. There it is. Okay. Oh, and the one door. Okay. One door I thought I could go into and it's locked. Great. Okay. I'm gonna save here. Alrighty. Poor Adol. Ugh. That mage, Dallas. Dallies. Dallas? Dallies. Dallies. He's quite the villain, isn't he? Well. Turning to Lilia to stone like that. Right in front of Adol. After going all that way to save her, and the others, of course, but to save her. Infiltrating the shrine, getting the sacred cup, being cursed, undoing his curse. And now, we have more curses being thrown around. So, tomorrow, I'm going to stream again, and we will continue Adol's adventure in Ace 2. We'll be opening all those locked doors. And hopefully, dealing with that wizard. And freeing Lilia. Oh. Move over here. What a pain being a hero. But yes, we'll return tomorrow to continue Adol's adventure. And hopefully, we may even see the end of East 2. I feel like I'm coming up at the end, but who can say? I'm playing this blind. Now. That is it for now. So, as always, wherever you may be, have a good day, a good evening, a good night, and take care.